Artificial intelligence is everywhere. We're talking about it all the time. We're using it at home and at work. And as you probably know, my day job is as the CEO of Credit Canada. So it was really important to us to think about how we can use artificial intelligence tools to make a difference for people who are dealing with levels of debt that they can't manage. The agency has launched an AI debt management agent called Mariposa. And to talk about what it is and how it works, we've asked Natasha Kinnear to join us. She is the digital delivery manager at Credit Canada. Hello, Natasha.
Hi, how are you?
I know the why of why we launched Mariposa, but what should our listeners know about why this was a priority?
So it's a priority for us because, our mission is to help people get out of debt and back to life. Mariposa helps us to fulfill that mission, really, by providing 24/7 support. So Canadians and people who are using Mariposa can get the help that they need at their own pace. It helps make debt help and the services that we offer a little bit more accessible. And it really reaches those who might feel hesitant or are unable to speak to a counselor right away if it's out of our business hours. We know that, Canadians are struggling to keep up with payments. Household debt is at record levels.
Mm.
And we really saw, a growing need for accessible and confidential financial support really available when people need it.
On the continuum, there are people who know everything there is to know about AI agents. They can picture it, they get it. On the other end of the continuum, people who have very little exposure to AI. Can you describe exactly how Mariposa works? Where do they even access it? What do they do to kick off the experience?
Yeah, so you can access, sorry, Mariposa through our website, creditcanada.com. And there will be pop-ups and there's a little chat icon in the bottom right-hand corner. And basically what Mariposa does is, we have our internal knowledge base and all of the knowledge that our counselors and our experts here have that they've built up over the years. And Mariposa uses conversational AI to interact with users through a chat interface. So users can go in and ask any questions, and Mariposa will really provide detailed responses based off of that internal knowledge base. So it can walk you through an assessment of your finances if you'd like it to, where you enter your income, your expenses, your debt details, and provides personal solutions to manage your debt. It can include referring you to programs that we have here at Credit Canada. It can give you advice on how to access government programs, and users will really get a tailored recommendation pretty instantly without waiting or needing to speak to a counselor immediately. Um,
And the effort to train this AI agent was pretty significant. When you think about the functionality, it offers pretty close to everything that a human could offer. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Especially for cases where it's relatively straightforward. We have our own internal programs here. We have a huge knowledge base that Mariposa has been trained on to use our extensive knowledge base and the credit counseling framework that all of our counselors use as well to give people the help that they need.
What are some examples of what you use to train the model? What did you throw in there so that it would be able to learn how to engage in a compassionate way and have its facts sorted in terms of how the debt world works in Canada?
So we have, a huge list of external resources that we've used to train it. So whether it's specific government programs that are available, we also have a strong history of a lot of partners, and that information as well is inside Mariposa. I think in terms of internal Credit Canada knowledge bases, really what we were prioritizing was how do we get the basic information from individuals if they are deciding to do an assessment of their debt. We have our own kind of practices of how we assess what that debt is, what their income levels are, their expenses, and really what their overall picture of their financial health. And Mariposa will use that, and we'll use all the resources that we've, spoken to our own counselors. We have our own training modules, etc. And it really takes that and builds off of it and provides, accessible help to people who need it.
Mm. With a counselor, many of our counselors have been around for decades. They will ask a bunch of questions and get a very clear snapshot of assets, liabilities, income, and expenses in order to offer advice on what next steps should be. Maybe it's a budgeting course, maybe it's a debt consolidation program, maybe it's a referral outside for a consumer proposal from a trustee. How does the AI do something similar, but without the, human judgment on what that advice should be, on what that recommendation should be?
Yeah, so it works based off of kind of a calculation. So we have a form within Mariposa. If users would like to, they can start this debt assessment. And what will happen is they'll be asked a number of questions like the ones that you just mentioned, their income, their expenses, a pretty detailed list of their expenses. And it really asks users to take a look at their own financial health and take a look at how much am I spending on each of these kind of relatively granular pieces every month. And then it takes all of those things, takes a look at their debt and what their current interest rates are, looks at their existing creditors, and then based off of those pieces of information, if you will, it will then create recommendations based off of what is manageable. Of course, if someone isn't a fit for our programs, we won't recommend the programs.
Mm,
But what it will always do, it will always provide you a recommendation, whether that
mm.
recommendation is here are these government web pages that you can access for support, and here is this future, further information. It will also say, hey, maybe we should take a look at referring you out to other organizations or LITs or mortgage brokers. Please get in touch with us. There's a few other options, and then of course with the Credit Canada programs themselves.
When we think about, those voicemail things where it'd be like press 4, press 5, and you're like in this technologically driven world and you're desperate to just keep slamming the 0 button to get a human being. Like, I just want a human being. With Mariposa, what is the opportunity for the client to say, wait, I actually thank you for all that, but I need to talk to a human? How does that come to be?
So no matter what, anyone can call us. Our phone number is accessible on our website. That is something that is still kind of the primary way in which people will get in touch with us personally, one-on-one. With Mariposa, we have recognized, though, that Credit Canada has business hours and hours that are not part of our business hours. And so we were seeing that there were people who were needing support or even just needing answers to a couple of questions and they didn't know who to trust or where to go to for those answers. And it's, 2 in the morning and they're thinking about their debt and they're not really sure what to do. And so those individuals, I think, are best served by Mariposa by going to our website, interacting with Mariposa, getting a little bit more information. If those individuals still would like to speak to a counselor, the next day, business hours, the phone lines are open and they will continue to be open. Mariposa is not intended to replace the credit counseling that we offer. It's more of an addition and a way for us to kind of further expand our services.
How did you address the very real concerns that many people have about privacy? Like, you're typing some personal information into this agent.
Yeah, so privacy is a pretty big concern, and rightfully so. So with AI tools, it really kind of comes down to how data is collected, stored, and used. And so responsible AI providers, like the ones that we've worked with in developing Mariposa, avoid collecting any unnecessary data, don't store sensitive details unless it's required, and follow pretty strict security standards. So for Mariposa specifically, we worked with our agency, Midas Labs, to ensure Mariposa meets high privacy and data protection standards. Nothing is saved or shared unless the user chooses to submit their information through a form like a debt assessment. The transcripts, the general conversation, the kind of one-off questions with Mariposa are not saved. Any data that is collected through, for example, one of those forms is encrypted both in transit and at rest, so it will be secure at all times.
Hmm. The other concern that people have about AI is about things that it learns that might illustrate bias in our culture or inaccurate information. In the design and in the training of the model, what did you do to try and protect for those risk factors?
So one of the great things about Mariposa is that we pretty much control the knowledge. I mean, very much do control the knowledge base that it draws off of. So Mariposa's AI component really is in fetching information from this knowledge base and relaying it in a conversational manner. It will also do things like those recommendations I previously spoke about, but really the key thing here is we have the ability to update, we have the ability to change, to enhance, to optimize, and to really ensure that our knowledge base is strong and accurate at all times. It is not something that Mariposa will take information, change it itself. It is not that kind of an AI model. What it really will do is it will build off of the information and the knowledge base that we've given it, which is a secure, strong foundation, and it will simply relay that in a conversational tone to the end user.
One of the superpowers of our counselors is their ability to validate the experience of the client, to make them feel better, to complete each and every interaction with the client being glad that they, took the risk and picked up the phone and made the call. How did you try and work that human touch into something that's like technology?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that we really want to focus on is having that empathy and having that validation, as you mentioned, to ensure that if someone is kind of really struggling or doesn't really know where to turn, we want to reassure that individual that, hey, they made the right choice. They made the right choice by engaging with us, by engaging with Mariposa. Mariposa itself has a kind of an empathetic tone. We wanted to make sure that, obviously our counselors, our credit counselors are amazing. And whenever they speak to clients, they have that human touch. Obviously, AI will not replace that human touch. I think especially for complex financial situations, we are still recommending that you reach out and speak to one of our counselors. But what Mariposa will do is Mariposa will validate the emotions of the person who is reaching out and
Mm.
say, you know what, we're glad that you've reached out. This is the first step to getting your debt under control. Thank you for doing so. And here's all the information that I have that may be of use to you.
It's really helpful. Natasha, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Natasha Kinnear is the digital delivery manager at Credit Canada. She joined us to talk about Mariposa, an AI agent that focuses on debt management.